Hello friends, welcome to my channel Study Anatomy. In this video, we will discuss about the attachments of the muscles on the mandible. We will discuss the attachments of the muscle on both the outer as well as the inner surface of the mandible. As we have discussed in detail about the mandible it is the lower jaw and it is the largest and the strongest bone of the face. It is a horseshoe-shaped body which lodges the teeth. You can see in this picture the mandible it is visible. We'll discuss the attachments of the muscles on the outer as well as the inner surface of the mandible one by one. You can see in this picture it is the outer surface of the mandible in which there is a ramus portion as well as the body portion of the mandible. Colored portions which are appearing on this mandible, it shows the attachments of the muscles. First muscle we will discuss about the masseter muscle. As we can see in this picture, this dark portion which is present on the ramus portion of the mandible, it is the masseter muscle. This masseter muscle it is present on the lateral surface of the ramus except the posterior superior part provides the insertion to the masseter muscle. This means that as we can see the masseter muscle, it is present on the lateral surface of the ramus of the mandible and it is not attached to the posterior superior portion of the condyloid portion. In this the condyloid portion does not contain the masseter muscle. Next muscle we will discuss is the temporalis muscle. The temporalis muscle it is inserted into the apex and the medial surface of the coronoid process. As you can see that the insertion it extends downwards on the anterior border of the ramus. The next muscle we will discuss the buccinator muscle. As we can see there is an oblique line on the body part of the mandible. This oblique line on the lateral surface of the body it gives the origin to the buccinator muscle. So the buccinator muscle it is originating from the oblique line and then it is extending forwards. Next muscle we will discuss the platysma muscle. The platysma muscle it is inserted into the lower border of the mandible. It is inserted on the base of the mandible. So, in the next muscle, we will discuss the depressor anguli oris as well as the depressor labii inferioris. As we can see, there is a point which is called as the mental foramen and the mental nerve and the vessels. The mental foramen through which the mental nerves and the vessels passes. So the depressor labii inferioris and the depressor anguli oris it arises from the oblique line below the mental foramen. See, it is present below the mental foramen. Both muscles, that is the depressor anguli oris and the depressor labii inferioris. The next muscle we will discuss the mentalis as well as the orbicularis oris muscle. So the incisive fossa it gives origin to the mentalis muscle and the mental slips of the orbicularis muscle. Now we will discuss the attachments of the muscles on the inner surface of the mandible. As we have discussed earlier, the temporalis muscle in which I have said it is inserted on the apex portion as well as on the medial side. So on the medial side we can see the attachment of the temporalis muscle and we can see that it is extended downwards on the anterior border of the ramus of the mandible. The next muscle we will discuss the mylohyoid muscle. The mylohyoid line it gives the origin to the mylohyoid muscle. So the next muscle we will discuss the genioglossus muscle. So the genioglossus muscle it originates from the upper genial tubercles. In the lower genial tubercle it gives the origin to the geniohyoid muscle. So we have discussed both the muscles, that is the geniohyoid muscle and the genioglossus muscle. So the next muscle we will discuss the medial pterygoid muscle. The medial pterygoid muscle, it is inserted on the medial surface of the ramus. It is inserted on the roughened area below and behind the mylohyoid groove. So we will understand slowly. As we can see that the medial pterygoid muscle, firstly it is present on the medial surface of the ramus. Secondly, it is present on the roughened area and it is present below and behind the mylohyoid groove. So the next muscle we will discuss the lateral pterygoid muscle. The lateral pterygoid muscle, it is inserted into the pterygoid fovea. It is present on the condylar portion, on the anterior portion of the neck of the condyle. So the next muscle we will discuss is the pterygomandibular raphe. The pterygomandibular raphe, it is attached immediately behind the third molar tooth and it is attached in continuation with the origin of the superior constrictor muscle. So we can see in this diagram, it is present just behind the third molar tooth. So the next muscle is the superior constrictor muscle. It is the muscle of the pharynx and it arises from an area above the posterior end of the mylohyoid line. As we have discussed the mylohyoid muscle, that it is attached on the mylohyoid line. So below this mylohyoid muscle there is a mylohyoid line. As on the posterior surface of the mylohyoid line, it is, so what is superior constrictor muscle? So it is present above the posterior end of the mylohyoid line. So we have discussed all the muscle attachments on the inner as well as the outer surface of the mandible. Thank you so much, and do like, share and subscribe to my channel, and do comment me if you have any doubt in the comment section.